Friends, take a look at these two transplants. This is a cabbage, Callibos cabbage. They're in 6-packs for our farm store. And take a look at them. They look really different. This one has much more green leaves, and also they're a little more splayed open. And take a look at this one. They're darker red. Some of the leaves are curling, and just in general, they're not as flat and beautiful wide. And this plant, this 6-pack, heaven, is quite a bit healthier, happier than these. And let's take a look what the roots look like. The roots will tell us everything. Here are the roots of this more stressed transplant of the cabbage, and you can see they're truly root bound. They're racing all over, on the bottom especially, which is classic, trying to get out. Basically, the roots, when they hit that plastic edge, they know there's no nutrients there, they know there's no oxygen there, and they think, well, I need nutrients and oxygen and water to do my thing, and if it's not there, I need to go somewhere else. So they just chase themselves around, trying hopelessly to get out of your container, putting a lot of energy into the root system, escaping the root system, then putting healthy leaves on. So that's why I love soil blocks myself. And yeah, these are just tight little concentrated blocks of soil that air prune, because when the roots hit the air, they turn around and go the other way. But it's sometimes inevitable. Let's take a look at this plant. So this much healthier transplant, you can see there's still quite a bit of roots that are, there's more roots than I want. I want to transplant this out right now and not let it sit in that container any longer. But it looks really different than this one. And so this is much healthier, much happier. Another thing I wanted to share with you in these unhealthy, more stressed ones, take a look at this plant. Oh, it's so root bound. Take a look at these lowermost leaves. They're very discolored, and they have those black splotches. And friends, that's actually not a disease, but that is literally the plant saying, I don't have enough nutrients. I'm going to take nutrients from my lowermost leaves and give them to my uppermost leaves, because it's those uppermost leaves that are making even more photosynthesis and are closer to the sun. So they're literally kind of cannibalizing their lower leaves, taking nutrients from those lower leaves and bringing them up the plant. And you'll see this in a lot of plants in your garden. But when you see that in a transplant, that is a very special sign that they are stressed. And know that at this point you can, of course, spray fish emulsion on them and fertilize them. And that is a great option. A week ago would have been ideal. Kind of like humans, when we actually feel finally the sensation of thirst, we're dehydrated. We should have been hydrating ideally hours ago. And now we feel the symptoms, so it's really for real. So the same thing is true for feeding your transplants. If you're actually responding to symptoms of malnutrition, you kind of missed the boat, and it's not too late, go for it, but know that the best time to respond is, in fact, when they are still looking healthy and you preemptively are feeding them. So that being said, I would hate for you to throw this plant out, because it's truly not the end of the world. I do notice that there is this second plant in here, this smaller plant, and it's really important. Ideally, 2 weeks ago we would have caught this, but we didn't. So today I'm going to remove this one because it's small, stunted. It would only continue competing with the larger, happier one, and neither of them would have done well if I'd planted them both out. And it's so far along, it's so progressed in its root boundness. Maybe 2 weeks ago I could have separated them and gotten 2 plants if I'd put them in separate containers, but at this point there's no way. If I had tried to separate the roots, I would have forfeited both of our plants. So if you are planting these root bound plants, be sure that you're going like this. You're breaking up those roots, and that way you're really encouraging this plant to know that it can explore the soil that you're about to plant it in. There's more to life than just that tiny little container that it's been stuffed inside. And so feel free to gently break up those roots a little bit, and especially down at the bottom where they were circling and circling. And ideally from here, you would dunk them in a dilute fish emulsion, because that water helps them infinitely when they go into the ground to create new roots. But those additional macronutrients and micronutrients that are immediately available through fish emulsion they're right there to help this transplant transition. And so I'm excited to tuck this in the ground and see what happens, but know that anytime, if I planted this six-pack next to this six-pack, I would very clearly see this six-pack is less happy than this six-pack for the rest of its life.